Norm, before the break, we talked about the transmission of natural gas through these aging pipelines. Have we had problems in America as a result of the infrastructure?
Yeah, we sure have. Unfortunately, it's all available on the internet for someone who wants to look at it. Just dial in. The most spectacular one, I think, is Edison, New Jersey, which is available. Just dial up Edison, New Jersey pipeline explosion. And this pipe was put in one of the early ones. It's the same as the Transco line that goes around Dallas, Pennsylvania right now. It's about the same age. Blew up in the middle of the night, and the video is right there. It's just spectacular. Flames blazing 300 feet in the air.
People hurt?
People not hurt in that one, no. The most recent one, San Bruno, California, where a faulty weld in the pipeline, once again, same age of the pipelines, it ruptured in a urban neighborhood where people just began to build around this pipeline. 8 fatalities, 32 homes gone. It's all there on the internet to see. It's awful.
Do any of the pipelines around here, are they close to the coal seams in the coal area where we have problems with?
That's a good question. I've never even thought of that too much. But you know, the coal seams are all over the place. We know where the pipelines are. I'll have to look at that one. I suspect that they are. The pipelines are, by the way, 3 feet below the surface. That they consider that a safe distance. And of course, the coal seams are much deeper, but some come close to the surface.
But when we have a subsidence, that's going to create an awful problem for those transmission lines.
That could. What's one of the reasons they think that San Bruno exploded, that there was some seismic activity, and that pipeline operated at 1,000 pounds per square inch. We understand now from the National Transportation Safety Board that it blew up at 357 pounds per square inch. So it's awesome.
Tom, when the gas drillers first came to Luzerne County, your group started to become concerned and you did some research. Tell us a little bit about what exactly hydrofracking is and why there is such a concern by thoughtful people that this is not a safe way to supply energy to America.
Right. I mean, fracking itself has been around for 50 years or more, but it's not the same process that they're using now. They were shallow vertical wells with the very minimal amounts of pressure, water, chemicals. Nowadays, they're using hydrofracking with very high pressures, 5 million gallons on average per well, mixed with about 1% of toxic chemicals ranging from diesel fuel to acids to formaldehydes and things like that, forced underground maybe a mile down and then a mile to the side with horizontal fracturing. On each well pad, they could put anywhere from 4 to 18 wells if they want. They're typically doing about 6 wells on a pad now. And there has been evidence that just the drilling alone has contaminated nearby aquifers and water supplies. And then you have all of the accidents with spills and containment ponds that have overflowed and things like that.
You know, I've been visiting throughout the Northeast an awful lot. I get calls all the time now from people that are concerned. And recently a lady called me to go up and take a look at an impoundment pond in East Smithfield Township. And it was in a stone's throw from an elementary school. And I had to scratch my head and wonder where the PTA was. Because these impoundment ponds, as I understand it, not only hold fluid, but they also have vapors that escape and cause problems with the air that we breathe.
Oh, the air quality issues are unbelievable. It's not just water contamination. There's venting, you know, whether it's from a compressor station, whether it's from a well. You know, you can go up to Dimmock now and you can see flares that are, you know, almost 10 feet high, 4 of them in a row that have been burning for days now, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of potential industrial hazards that come with this operation.
My pitch has been consistently, and I'll stand by it, that if we're going to have extraction of natural gas in Pennsylvania, it's got to be done carefully, and it's got to be done responsibly, and it's got to be done in an area that is nowhere near where people live, where their wells are. I mean, I've seen well pads 50 feet, 100 feet from someone's backyard. And these people have to live with the sounds. I heard, I was down at the meeting of your organization when you were fighting the variance that they wanted to erect a compressor station. And you talked about the noise of these compressor stations.
Oh, there's a disease called vibratory acoustic disease that has been shown to affect not only your brain but also even heart thickness, based on just the vibration that comes from these compressor stations.
And Norm, there's also a problem with the danger of these compressor stations with explosions, et cetera. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. You have to raise the pressure of the gas to the pressure of the pipeline that you want to put the gas in, plus a few hundred pounds. So a 1,000 pound per square inch gas line, you have to raise it to 1,200 pounds per square inch. That's a lot of pressure, Todd. That's an awful lot of pressure. And then they put mercaptan into the gas, which is toxic. And
when a tire blows, how many PSIs are there in a tire?
Truck tire, I don't know, 100 and change. Car tire, 36 pounds. So you can imagine, just look at this stuff on the internet, you'll see what it looks like. San Bruno, Claiborne, Texas, amazing.
This was described last week by a gentleman who works for the Catskill Mountain Keepers as the industrialization of rural Pennsylvania. Yeah. But it's not only the industrialization of rural Pennsylvania, it's the industrialization of suburban areas. This governor is suggesting that maybe we ought to have a well pad on every college campus, perhaps next to the library. It makes no sense.
It's actually been going on in Fort Worth, Texas. If you go down to Fort Worth, they have gas drilling areas in very urban schoolyards even, So, if the gas is there, the companies will look to extract it.
I'm privileged to be working very closely with a lawyer from the Fort Worth area who represents one of the fellows that you had up here, Tim Ruggiero, in his fight with the gas companies. And when I first talked to him in December and asked him to come up and get involved here, he said to me, he said, "You're not going to believe what's going to happen to your state." He said, "You're not going to believe." He said, "I would never have thought that Fort Worth, Texas, and the surrounding areas, the suburban areas where these homes are $500 to $1 million homes, have lost value just unbelievably."
Oh. And if you look out west, you just have to look at the experience of what's happened in Wyoming and Colorado, where previous countrysides that had pristine air now have smog worse than LA from some of the air quality problems.
They say the west slope of the Rockies is just a wasteland with drilling and farmers that have lost their cattle. Were you up at Leroy by any chance when they had that
No, I was
the
not.
well blow? I was touched by the fact, and I think we might have some footage of it, that while they were still repairing the blowout, and while fracking fluid was still leaking into the fields, there was a herd of dairy cattle.
Right there.
You had to wonder, how do we test our milk at this point? What's going on? And it's a frightening thing.
Nobody's calculating those costs. Are people going to stop buying Pennsylvania dairy products and beef and things like that, or the loss of tourism and stuff like that? We're talking about the jobs, but nobody's talking about the tourism, the agriculture, and the money that we're going to lose in the negative health effects that people are going to be experiencing.
And the overall cost to the state of Pennsylvania for our roads, for our infrastructure, the cost to communities for police and fire protection.
If there's a disaster.
That's exactly right.
Insurance.
And
rates will go crazy.
we are the only state in the union that doesn't tax them because we don't want them to leave. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned to You Be the Judge. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the chemicals that are used in these frac fluids and why it's such a secret, why Dick Cheney insisted that they be exempted from the Safe Drinking Water Act. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge.